Yeah, guys, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to bet on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking to get a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA.
All right, speaking of the NBA, we begin there, guys. Dustin, you and I talked about it this morning a little bit, but it's time to expand even more. Another impressive win for the Cavaliers. No Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell, basically a non-factor. I think he had 5 at halftime, 11 for the game. The Cavs win by 40 against a decent team that gave the Cavs a hard time in the playoffs last year. At their home court where they've been very good. I think they're 10 games over 500 at home. We know they're not a good offensive club, but they're a very good defensive club. And the Cavs just kicked their ass yesterday, Mike.
No, it was belt to ass, and there's no other way to explain it.
Excuse me.
Entering the game yesterday, Wendell Carter Jr., their center,
Yeah.
said twice during shoot-around, this is a must-win game.
That's true. He did say that.
We have to beat the Cavaliers to prove we belong in the same class. We thought twice, not once, but he doubled down on it and said twice. The game was over 6 minutes in. By the end of the first quarter, the Cavs were up 18 points. Never turned back, even when Orlando went on what seemed like a 77-3 run in the second quarter.
It cut it down.
We got to halftime.
You get to 9 at one point.
Never got closer than 13.
11. Oh, no.
11 or 13.
I thought it was 11.
But never got into single digits.
Right.
It never actually became a game. They did it without Darius. As you mentioned, they did it without Donovan having a big game. Max Strus hit 5 threes in the game. The entire Orlando Magic team hit 5 threes in the game. Hunter had 4 threes off the bench. Jerome had 4 threes off the bench. And the big takeaway to me from this game was when the playoffs ended last season, it went 7 between the Cavs and the Magic. And in that game 7, Orlando was up double digits. Cleveland fought, clawed their way back, ended up winning the game. When that game ended, Orlando went back to the locker room saying, we lost the series, but we were on the exact same plane as this Cleveland Cavaliers team.
Yeah.
Fast forward, and a relatively healthy Magic team played a relatively healthy Cavs team, Suggs out, Garland out, and it was not close in any capacity.
No.
They destroyed the number 2 defense in basketball. The Magic have the worst offense in basketball, and it was their lowest offensive output of the season. So not just bad offensive team. How about a bad offensive team having its worst offensive game of the season?
Yeah.
And you saw all the parts of the Cavaliers roster chipping in different ways, which makes this a picture-perfect 40-point dub on national TV.
No, that was awesome. I think what you brought up was a really good point talking about last year, right? I mean, they lost 3 games in Orlando, right? And Orlando last year, I think they held the Cavs to like 24% shooting from 3. And also held them to like 8. The Cavs, by the way, were held to like 89 points against the Magic last year. So like it's a complete turnaround with all the same guys for the most part. And then no Garland last night. So it was just very fascinating to see how good.
Just on that, because I forgot to mention it. The last time they played in Orlando, Donovan scored 50.
That was the game Garland didn't play, right? Or am I wrong about
Allen
that?
didn't play. I don't remember Garland.
Allen didn't play. Sorry.
But Donovan scored 50. The rest of this team scored 39.
Right.
Last night they scored 122 points and Donovan had 11. Just think about the change in that by itself.
Yeah.
That was his stat line last night.
They got 111 points from guys not named Garland and Mitchell.
And the last time they played in that same arena, Donovan had 50. The rest of the team had 39, I believe.
And nobody had a monster game. Like
20 points was the high score for Ty Jerome.
Yeah, that was it. And did you want to finish a point, Dustin?
No, I mean, he even added to it. I mean, it just overall, the Cavs this year on the road have been so good, 21-6 on the road.
Yeah.
And now at 48-10 league best, like they're just freaking awesome, man. They're so much fun to watch. Never think they're going to lose.
That's how it feels right now.
I'm trying not to take it for granted, though.
Could they go 22-2 and still win 70
sure they
games?
could.
That doesn't seem impossible.
They
probably won't. You'll probably fall short. They need to go, I believe, 19-5 to set the franchise record in wins. I think that's likely. I think there's a very good chance they'll do that. Which seems crazy, but but you look at the minutes way down. Everybody, outside of Ty Jerome, is playing significant. Like Donovan Mitchell is playing 5-6 less minutes a game. Think about how they had it. Meanwhile, I looked at Boston. their top three guys, Tatum, Brown, and White. I don't know what they played last year, but they're all playing like 34 to 36 minutes, 37 minutes. It may not seem like a big deal. Well, one guy's playing 35, one guy's playing 30. I think it's a big deal. You add that up over 70 games, that's a way lot more time on the court. Plus, obviously, Boston played through the finals last year where the Cavs did not.
And the Olympics, where they had three guys on the Olympic team.
I got to think, again, it might not matter. The Celtics might still win that series. But I got to think that's, if any, it's certainly not a negative. It's definitely a positive for the Cavs. Plus, they're going to have a chance, you would think, to rest guys even more down the stretch because they're up 6 games on Boston with 24 to go. If they beat Boston on Friday, that's a big if because it's in Boston. But then you're up 7 with 23 to go. And by the way, I looked up this morning because I wasn't sure what the tiebreaker was if you've split your season series. And as long as you're not in the same division, and we never pay attention. I actually couldn't remember if the Cavs and Celtics were in the same division.
They are not.
I knew
they are not.
I thought they weren't, but we never pay attention to division that I wasn't 100% sure. So they're not. So the next tiebreaker is conference record, which the Cavs have a slight edge right now over Boston. By the way, for those who pay attention to even the bigger one, the Cavs have a big edge over Oklahoma City in terms of conference record. So if Oklahoma City and the Cavs have split their 2 games, if they end up tied at the end of the year, and Oklahoma City lost yesterday, so the Cavs right now are a game and a half up. But if they're tied at the end of the year, the Cavs will probably have the tiebreaker because I think they're 4 or 5 games up on Oklahoma City in terms of conference record. So in terms of getting that, I don't know how much they're going to play to have a better record than Oklahoma City at the end of the year, but certainly...
No, I think they will because that determines home court advantage in the finals.
Well, if they play Oklahoma City, right? We don't know.
But you'd rather have the upper hand than not. Yeah.
But the point is, they may have these things locked up even against Oklahoma City with a couple of games to go. Certainly the East, you would think, unless something goes terribly wrong, that the Cavs will have the East 1 seed locked up maybe with 6-7 games to go.
And then
maybe more than that.
Then they could pick and choose, rest guys, make sure everyone's healthy.
You don't get rusty.
Right.
Yeah.
But, especially because after the season, there's still the play-in games, so you still have a week off there.
Got a little bit of time.
So you don't want to go too crazy. But you could be really smart with the minutes down the stretch.
Speaking of the minutes, I texted you during the game last night.
Right, yes.
And it never ended up coming to fruition because the game
didn't matter.
Was never close.
Right.
We had the topic yesterday. Will this be the game that Kenny Atkinson proverbially unleashes DeAndre Hunter?
Right.
And last night, Kenny did tweak his substitution patterns a little bit. He brought DeAndre in. Now, with Garland out, I'm not reading anything too far into this because Okoro's starting and whatnot, but he brought DeAndre Hunter in by himself as the first substitution off the bench, took Allen out, and they went with Hunter and Mobley in the front court, which, because of his length and wingspan, they're not sacrificing size. And Orlando's bigs are big, but they're not really post-up threats. Like, Banchero will post you up, but he's not a 275-pound center, even though he is a giant dude. But that's not necessarily how he plays. He wants to start from the high post. He had 4 threes in last night's game. We're going to show you one of those in a little bit because some of the self-creation that he's brought to the Cleveland offense has been simply incredible. And frankly, I was unaware that he had that level of creative offensive ability within him. But to see Kenny bring him off the bench 4 minutes into the game yesterday, Bull, I know it didn't matter because the game got out of hand so quickly.
Right.
I do think it gives us a little insight into how he may want to use some of his substitution patterns against a game like Boston. And last night he was asked, how are you going to handle this game against Boston? And he said, we're treating it like a Game 7. Like, we're going. We're going to try to win this game. We're going to throw everything we can at Boston to get as many data points as we can in case we have to see him in a playoff series again. What worked, what didn't, which lineups worked against their combinations, which ones didn't. And we need to prove we can beat this team in Boston.
Yeah. And
which I love to hear, by the way.
Again, going back to the 1 seed again, it's almost like a 4-game swing. Because, well, let me see if I'm getting that math right. Yes, or 3 games. If you lose to Boston, the lead for the 1 seed is 5, and Boston's got the tiebreaker. If you win, it's 7, and you've got the tiebreaker.
ESPN Analytics had the Cavs, as of this morning, at a 97% chance for the 1 seed.
Right.
If they win,
it's like 99.
I think 99.7, yeah.
If they lose, it's probably 90.
90.
Whatever. I know they're still going to get it, but it's a fair. It's as big a game as you're going to get in the regular season.
Is this game on ESPN Friday?
It is.
I think so.
It's their 5th consecutive.
Because now I'm going to be in this cruise for the next week.
Oh, yeah.
Which means,
it'll be on.
We only get like two sports channels. And
it's ESPN.
ESPN,
Yeah, then you get it.
That is
7:30.
big.
Sweet.
I would think on the Buckeye Cruise, knowing there's probably a lot of Cleveland fans there'd probably be a lot of people wanting to watch that.
Oh,
game.
yeah, they'll have it on. But you know what sucks is, like, I was just in the Bahamas back in January, and YouTube TV doesn't work down there, man.
Doesn't?
No, they block it. There's geofencing, dude. So they know you're out of the country, and YouTube doesn't have any rights
What
down
about
there.
Fubo?
They don't have rights there either. There's a couple other ones that were like never heard of before that worked.
Okay, they have their own.
Yeah, it's weird.
But Dustin,
Yes.
is this as big a regular season game as you can get?
I would say yes, because of the players we have now, and needing to see Hunter and Strus and like figuring out like who are we going to match up with the Boston Celtics? Who's going to be in the starting lineup in the playoffs, and when it comes to really most likely the Eastern Conference Finals. So this is going to be a nice test for the Cavaliers. Again, it's just one game. I mean, if they lose the game, I'm okay with that. I hope that Coach goes into this game and can learn some things and get some intel, gather that intel, and go back to the drawing board and prepare for the postseason with a little bit of information. And, the other thing, too, is you don't want to, I guess, show too much either to Boston, but you do want to play with some things and try to figure out who matches up well against that Boston death lineup.
I also think a big thing looking at the Boston a little, I know you guys will spend more time on it the next 2 days, but it's to me, again, I mentioned Giannis yesterday, but really Evan Mobley has struggled against Porzingis, and he played his worst game of the year by far. The Cavs have won 8 in a row and 12 of 13. And the only loss in his last 13 was to Boston.
He was coming off his calf injuries.
All right, but still, he was awful in that game.
He was very bad, yes.
And it was the only time really all year we saw him look a little intimidating. I don't know that he was. Maybe it just came off that way because he was playing poorly. He got his shot blocked early, and he seemed hesitant after that. And that's something like, if Mobley plays well in this game, that's like feels like the final hurdle for him. We've said often this year that the Cavs have brought back the same team as last year. That is true, besides Hunter now. But it's not the exact same team because Evan Mobley is not the same player he was last year. Darius Garland is not the same player he was last year. And Jerome, he was on the team, but he didn't play. He was hurt the whole season.
No.
Throw in the addition of Hunter, it may be, and Tyson, who's contributed. Even on the broadcast last night, I think it was Van Gundy who said, even when they bring in Craig Porter Jr., the guy can play when he comes out there. Yeah. I love Ian Eagle on basketball. He's sneaky underrated on basketball.
Sneaky underrated?
Yeah,
no, I don't think he's underrated
at all.
I think people know how good he is.
I just feel like you don't think of him for basketball as much. But
you mentioned DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah.
He's now played 6 games with the Cavs.
Yeah.
And 6 games is not the biggest sample size. Granted, I understand it's a small sample size. But essentially, since they acquired DeAndre Hunter, the Cavs have been almost damn near perfect. They're 6-0. I made this graphic for you guys. They're 6-0 with DeAndre Hunter. They have a 127.5 offensive rating. Number 1 in the NBA. Their defensive rating, 104.1. Also, number 1 in the NBA. It's a number 1 net rating when you have the best offense, best defense. The net's obviously going to be number 1.
Yeah.
Rebounding was a potential weakness for the team. Since they acquired DeAndre Hunter, 50.8 rebounds per game. Wow. Guess where that ranks in the NBA? Number 1, and they're also averaging 48.2 bench points per game.
And he started one game, so his points didn't count
in that first game. Yep. But
and Darius hasn't played in 2 of these games, and yet,
they have been damn near perfect with DeAndre Hunter. The numbers are just part of the story. How they've been able to counter what other teams want to do against them is the other half of it that don't necessarily show up in individual statistics like that. But since acquiring DeAndre Hunter,
and the last 3 games they played good teams: the Knicks, the Grizzlies and the
Magic.
And I remember the 3 before that.
They played the Timberwolves.
Boston. Oh, Minnesota's a decent team.
And then in between was the Raptors and the Nets, who were
so 4 of the 6 games are playoff teams.
Yeah.
It's been extremely impressive what the Cavaliers have done so far. Anthony, look like you want to jump in for a sec.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Mike, whenever you're ready for your iPad stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Is it going to work? We're going to test out some new tech here. If this works, it's going to be really cool, and I hope.
You got a telly?
I hope. Well, it's kind of a telly. Ant, let's box it. Let's see if this works.
I'm going to let Steve run this one.
All right, so I picked just 3 plays. There's no crazy breakdown here, but if this works, this will be really cool. It mirrors the iPad. So the Magic tried to go zone on a couple of possessions against Cleveland last night, and teams have tried to go zone on Cleveland a handful of times this year, but because of how well they've been shooting, it hasn't had a ton of success. Last night, though, this play in particular is one of those plays that Kenny Atkinson drew up or whoever on his staff drew up that is picture perfect, and I just don't remember seeing any of this kind of execution against certain defenses in previous years from the same Cavs iteration. So you got Hunter on the top here, and he's going to run a little dribble handoff with Donovan Mitchell. You see it's a 2-3 zone, and you can see Jared Allen coming up to set the screen here on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, which would open up the right side of the court for Donovan to attack. My head's covering Donovan. You know where Donovan is. But Isaac Okoro, you see him on the baseline right under the basket there? Mm-hmm. He's the guy you got to watch on this play because in most zone offenses, Okoro would cycle through, go to the corner, and Craig Porter Jr. would rotate up to the wing. But instead of going to the corner, he's going to come up and set a little back screen here on Wendell Carter Jr., who's the middle man in this 2-3 zone. So in a typical pick-and-roll coverage, Donovan's going to come off to the right, Allen's going to roll, and the big man is going to kind of show for a second, then get back to stop Allen. However, what he doesn't see is, boom, back screen into an easy alley-oop. Okoro, once again, in typical 2-3 zone.
Can you let that run?
Yep. As he comes across, there's Okoro, has no idea he's there. Franz Wagner can't get over to come help.
Second pick.
It's screening the screener, essentially.
Right.
I'll pause it one more time. As Donovan comes off this, he has an entire lane to go. You see Wendell Carter Jr. in the right position to be helping in against the zone. But instead of going to the corner, Okoro comes up, back screens for Wendell Carter Jr. And at that point, Franz Wagner has no chance at this. Donovan knows what he's looking for. Right. As soon as he sees Wendell make contact with Isaac, that's an easy oop.
And 2 points for the Cavs. One of the keys in that is that the Cavs essentially are saying, going into that play, that Wendell Carter Jr. is going to at least be concerned enough about Donovan Mitchell that he's going to go past where Okoro is. This way, Okoro can step in and get that screen.
Yeah.
Because if Wendell Carter Jr. doesn't react to Donovan going to the right, then he can't really set that pick.
And if he doesn't react, Donovan steps into an open three. So he has to step up.
Right.
And when he steps up, as he's recovering, that's a really nice play design there by the Cavs. All right, this second play is that's the second three of the game for Max Strus. And we've talked at length about why Max Strus should or shouldn't be the starting small forward when DeAndre Hunter's playing. Little nuances like this are why I think he fits well with the two bigs, even a little better than DeAndre Hunter to at least start the game. They're going to run some Iverson cut here, which is essentially you're cutting across the court to get the defender on your hip. So he's going to come over, catch it, and go into I lied. Hold on. I'm on the wrong play. That's why.
You're lying.
Oh, well, I was right about the action. I was wrong about which play this is. This is DeAndre Hunter being a way better creator than anyone gave him credit for. So the Cavs are going to try and put DeAndre Hunter's defender, which is Paolo Banchero, in a pretzel here. How do you guard three actions at once? So Strus comes over on the Iverson cut, catches and goes right into a dribble handoff with DeAndre Hunter.
Okay.
In theory, you're trying to get that initial switch. Orlando does a pretty good job. They're not going to switch this, but watch Jared Allen trail the play and then go set a screen for DeAndre Hunter. So you're not going to switch the first action, but can you fight over two?
We're going to force
You're going to force the second one. Hunter gets the switch now, and he's on Wendell Carter Jr.
Right.
Wendell Carter Jr. is taller than DeAndre Hunter.
Right.
But he's also not nearly as quick as DeAndre Hunter. So he's, in a sense, I have to guard the closeout. I have to stay close enough that I can put my hand up, contest the shot, but I can't get too close because DeAndre will blow by me. DeAndre, as we mentioned before, leads the Cavs in free throw attempts per game. Yeah. He's as good as anyone on the team at getting to the rim, creating contact.
Let me ask you something about that, Mike. Is that a situation where Jared Allen is kind of reading the play, and he's got to know that if they didn't switch on the previous play, that he's got to set that pick to force the switch? Or was he just doing that?
I think he's running through because he's now going to go set a screen for Max Strus, which isn't where the play's going, but he's going to now set a screen for Max Strus. So you have another action coming. It's the continual action of this Cavs offense that keeps going. Wendell Carter Jr., too slow, hand down, man down. DeAndre Hunter makes him play. It's going to run through again. Watch just, if you're a defender here on Orlando, how do you get through all this action?
Right.
And also, by the way, if you slip up at any point, you have deadly three-point shooters surrounding you at all points. So Strus comes on the Iverson cut, dribble handoff to DeAndre Hunter. He works with the ball screen. Allen's now going to screen for Strus's man, which could set up another switch. But instead, Hunter likes this one-on-one matchup. Yeah. Look at where that releases.
Yeah.
We talk about the wingspan of DeAndre Hunter, 7'2", 7'3".
Yeah.
Wendell Carter Jr., 6'11". That's not a little guy trying to contest a shot, but because DeAndre Hunter is 6'8" with a 7'3" wingspan and he releases the ball above his head, it's an unblockable jump shot. Nothing but net. He hit 4 threes last night, and he can create shots like that as well as anyone on the Cavs.
And another thing about all the screens and having to work through all the screens is that adds up as the game goes along.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise that the Cavs have been a dominant fourth quarter team because they're doing, in an era of basketball where there's so much dribble, 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 one-on-one play with guys standing around. The Cavs' ball movement, forcing the defense to switch more, go through picks
tires
more.
Guys out.
It's
and
going to tire guys out. It's a
and,
big advantage.
And physically, like their bodies are going through screens. These are big dudes. Like
beat up.
It's not football, but I mean those guys are they're in there.
Right, and you don't have to. You're not used to that because other teams aren't moving as much as the Cavs are.
And when you set good habits and set good screens, it leads to what we see on this last play. Steve, take it back for one more because this was the Strus play I wanted to talk about here.
Yeah.
So on this play, it's going to be the first bucket of the game for the Cavs. It's a design play that they drew up specifically for Max Strus. They're going to come down, and Strus is going to come off this initial screen on the bottom half of your screen from Evan Mobley, and then try to work off a screen with Jared Allen on the other side. So the Cavs made it a priority. We want Max Strus getting the first shot here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is designed or read by Strus, but either way, his ability to navigate through screens, read the defense, and figure out how to create space for himself is what I think makes him a really complementary fit to the two big lineup, particularly when they start the game. So he's going to come off, give it to Mobley, give it to Mitchell, come back, and watch how he works this screen with Jared Allen. It looks like a flare screen, right? That is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
What does that mean, flare screen?
High screen, he's going to flare to the corner. So you're basically coming off and then shooting out the same way that he's going with the screen being set.
Okay.
Watch how this Magic, I'm going to rewind, but watch how the Magic defender chases Max Strus coming off this. So you get the little handoff, gives it right back to create more space. He tries to go over. Strus reads that perfectly.
Right. He's wide open.
Repositions himself, steps into the three, catch and shoot. And by the time Kentavious Caldwell-Pope tries to get over both of those actions, it's a wide open three. This is a design play from the Cavs. Very first play of the game.
Yeah.
If he goes under that screen, Strus continues to flare to the wing for potentially an open three because he tries to.
Read by Strus.
It's a brilliant read by Strus.
Well, and a great, a little part of that gets missed is that Donovan hit him perfectly in stride in the right spot.
Yep.
Because that was looked like a very continuous motion of him getting the pass, going up with it, and getting that shot in rhythm, Mike.
Yeah.
That's great. It is nice having that.
It's really cool. Can I show you one more thing on this?
Yeah.
We talk about the screens and being physical, right? Look at how Jared Allen sets the screen. If this is not a really good screen,
he's great at setting
it does not create the space. Hits him once and then just stays in the way. You don't have to be a bone-crushing,
you don't have to knock him on his ass.
6'10", 300-pound monster to be effective in the screen.
Jarrett's very good at getting that leg out and then just holding firm.
Here he doesn't move, gets him on his ass, basically. Yeah. And then it opens up the space here for Max Strus. So just a couple plays from last night. Yeah. The telestrator worked really well.
It did.
We're going to start using this again.
Very nice.
Led to one of 5 threes from Max Strus in the game.
Right.
So shout out to the Cavs, some really high execution offensively. And once again, that's the number 2 defense in basketball in Orlando.
Yeah.
Without Darius Garland, they put up 122 points on the number 2 defense when their 2 best offensive players combined to score 11 points.
And we just said again yesterday that we're I know I said I'm totally all in on Ty Jerome. You said it this morning. Like, again, another game where they needed him to play more. Yeah. And the only time the Magic made a run right after that first clip, they made a little run there late in the second quarter, cut it down to, I think, 11. And then I believe Ty Jerome hit back-to-back threes right before the end of the half.
He has the weirdest, and weird because he's not the guy you'd expect, not weird in what he does. The weirdest sense for the game of, we desperately need a bucket. Get out of my way. I'm going to go do something. And he's not the guy you'd expect to have that killer instinct, but he is 100%
he wants the ball in his hands,
killer.
man.
Yeah.
Like he does. He's confident.
Yeah, he really
is. Playing
is.
with a lot. Everybody on this team is playing with confidence. And that's the thing we talked about yesterday. There's nobody on the Cavs. Everybody on the Cavs is playing as well, or in a lot of cases better, than you thought coming into the season. There's not a single player on the Cavs doing worse than you expected. Not one. Nobody. No.
The only individual part of it is Sam Merrill shooting 36% from 3. And if you had told me who would be the Cavs' 11th highest percentage three-point shooter this year, I'd say, no way, it's Sam Merrill.
But I feel like he's still been better.
He's been so much better defensively. He's a better playmaker. He hasn't played poorly. He just hasn't shot to the level.
That was a bad foul call on him, by the way.
It was a bad foul call.
Jeff Van Gundy said it was a foul?
No, it was a bad foul call. Yeah.
Although the offensive foul on Ty Jerome was a good call.
When he...
that was a good call. You can't do that. One last thing. Shaq, did you guys watch the halftime at all?
Did not.
I did not know.
By the way, Candace Parker is under the radar hot. Has she always been hot?
Yeah.
She's kind of under the radar hot.
Yeah.
No, I don't think she's under the radar.
I'm just throwing
I
a lot
also
under
think
the
she's
radar.
really good on TV.
She's
very good on TV.
Yeah.
That's more important. I shouldn't have said the hot part.
No.
But,
Oh, she's
I mean,
good.
it could be hot.
She's
but
easy on the eyes, but
she's
very,
excellent.
very talented.
She's actually better than Vince Carter, who's on there, but he's fine too. But anyway, Shaq at the halftime made the point. I think I remember the last time the Cavs played on TNT, he said something similar. He talked about, like, they were talking about, because whoever the sideline reporter, I can't remember who the sideline reporter from the game was last night. You guys remember who was the sideline reporter?
Guy or girl?
It was a girl, I think.
It wasn't Allie, was it? No.
No, and it's not Cassidy. Is it Cassidy Hubbard?
No, it wasn't Cassidy Hubbard. Whoever it was,
She's ESPN.
Did this little story about, I think it was her, maybe it was Candace Parker at halftime. Now I can't remember. But anyway, somebody said something about how Donovan Mitchell made the point after talking with Kenny Atkinson in the beginning of the season.
It was Candace Parker who made the point at halftime.
Okay, it was her.
Yeah.
So she talked about taking a step back so others could take a step forward. We've talked about him being a leader, how important. A lot of superstars would not have done that at all. And that's key. And Shaq brought up the point is that you look at the Cavs ball movement, and part of the reason they're always moving so much, yeah, that's what they're trying to do, but guys are all bought in because they know every player on that team who goes on the floor, Craig Porter Jr., Tyson, it doesn't matter. If you get on the court, you know that you're going to get your chances. Everybody gets involved. The Cavs are balanced quite often. Yeah, there are some games where Donovan will take over, but those are few and far between. Everybody gets a chance, and nobody's ignored out on the court. And that's why the Cavs have such great chemistry, have a real legitimate chance to win. And the guys fight for each other. They do. The role players are gonna play harder when they know that the All-Stars respect their game, believe in them, and get them the ball. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
Shaq put it, if you let everybody eat, then guys are gonna, work harder. And he's 100% right. And this team could definitely win. It's very exciting. Very exciting time.
They're fun to watch.
Can't wait for the playoffs. But we get, 7 weeks till the playoffs, I think?
Roughly.
Something like that.
The last game's April 11th.
Okay.
Or 13th, 11th,
Yeah,
13th,
so about 7 weeks.